Good morning, everyone. Welcome to River City Plus, the show after the show, the River City After Party. And I am so excited to welcome my new friend Tom here to talk about how we can battle the banned books. And so we were just talking before the show, talking about how things have hit social media, have been part of the conversation, but this is something that you've taken on as a true personal mission with you and your team.
Yes. So the team at 90 Forward had a vision of being able to increase the amount of books in community well before the book banning started kicking off. January of 2023, I vividly remember my youngest daughter coming home saying, "Daddy, they took all the books out of our classroom." And it hit me like a ton of bricks or a ton of books. And it was an opportunity to think through, how am I going to respond? And so the team at 90 Forward had already had some infrastructure in place, but we have seen a response that completely overwhelmed us. Our initial goal was 20 free little diverse libraries to be installed in neighborhoods across the First Coast. We are now at a point where we will have over 50 across the state of Florida.
Wow.
And in each of those libraries, we are ensuring that there is content from diverse voices, because we know that are often the books that are being banned from circulation.
Yeah. And so when this happened, I love the fact that you talk about it was a true reaction from your daughter. We had a journalist here, Joe McLean, who spoke specifically to young students, and they were truly perplexed by the fact that they went into their library, all of a sudden the shelves are empty. Like you said, a lot of children of color, a lot of diversity was just stripped, and kids noticed that. And what did your daughter perceive that to be when that happened to her?
Yeah, it's funny because as an adult looking at this, you're trying to find a clear understanding of why.
Right.
When you talk to the kids, they're very, don't they want us to read, Dad?
Right.
Don't they want me to have access to books? And it's so simple. If you want to inspire a community and an entire generation to have access to the ability to read, to set them up to reach their own potential, it seems very counterintuitive, and in fact it is, to remove access to books.
Right.
And so the children are absolutely finding this whole movement in stark contrast to what they're being told by the trusted adults that they have around them. So they want access to books, and specifically they want books that speak to their lived experience, right? We don't want to create a culture of isolation where there is no books that speak to the lived experience of my daughter or the lived experience of a young Black boy. And through those stories, you're able to develop empathy and an understanding of your peers that you might not be able to develop but for the access to those books.
Right. I would also add to that lived experience and then imagination, because I remember, and maybe you remember this too. I mean, even though we're both ripe young 21-year-olds in here, but I remember distinctly when Harry Potter came out, and where I was living in Rock Hill, South Carolina, a bunch of people were like, we can't have these in school. And my mom became part of the conversation, and they were like, it's going to teach kids this and witchcraft. And my mom was like, I think my daughter's intelligent enough to know that she's not flying on our Swiffer, that... we don't have giant spiders in the way. She's like, I would like my daughter to be able to imagine a fanciful world, to experience that, to create these kinds of things and still be very aware of reality. I think I was very lucky that I also had a mom that was like, don't compare yourself to Barbie. That's a plastic doll. Just like you're not comparing yourself to Lego Land. Like I was never like, I'm never going to be a square person with round circles on my feet. I just won't measure up. Like, it's also a very healthy part of a children's psyche to be able to say, like, this is someone else's lived experience. This is fantasy. And these are all things I can discern because I am a wonderfully made and intelligent person.
Right. And we're focusing a lot of the conversation on youth because absolutely they're being impacted.
Right.
But this is also impacting the entire family dynamic because those are sometimes the books that are coming home from alongside the child are the only books that are accessible to the rest of the family.
Right.
So the entire community is being harmed by a policy. There's a lot of attempts to reframe this as there are no book bans in Florida. But I always say if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck.
It's quacking duck.
If we are removing access to books, it is a book ban. And so I'm not willing to mince words around what is actually taking place in our state. And it is harming children across the entire state. It is harming communities across the state. And it's a shame that this is something that we're spending our energy on. But I appreciated your anecdote because this isn't the first time, right? There are many examples in history where efforts were taken to try to remove content. We talked earlier about Swifties. I am a proud Swiftie. I'm also a proud Harry Potter fan. And I absolutely remember the concern that I'm somehow going to detach from reality.
Right.
I personally probably did try to fly on a Swiffer, but I didn't get hurt. So,
to be honest, I tried with Mary Poppins, and I didn't see anyone. I'm lucky I didn't break my leg. I was like, all I need is an umbrella. Like, this is a mode of transportation I didn't realize. Like,
right.
But you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's like, why choose one and not the other? Yeah. Like, we need our families and our adults, like our adults that are continuing to learn, continuing to educate themselves. They need access to like you said, to create like critical thinking, to be able to form an opinion that is truly your own versus just what was handed to you by your family, by generations of a lot of broken knowledge, to be honest.
Right. And for anyone who reads, no matter how frequently, it stimulates conversation, right? And so the ability to then have dialogue with someone in your family or with a peer around a particular content area that you may not have, you're absolutely right. It fosters curiosity, creativity, and it's a shame that this is, 2024, and we are having to talk about the fact that there is even an attempt to ban books. The good news is 90 Forward is one of many solutions that is ensuring that there are, in fact, access to these books. If I may, I'm excited to share. On Friday of this week, we will be installing our first library in Clay County. This is the second. It's tied for first or second in Clay County. Has had the highest concentration of book bans in the state. And so it was very important for us as a team to ensure that there would be a response in Clay County. We have a plan to put at least 2 in Clay County, and the first one will be installed at St. James AME Church at 10 a.m. on Friday. It is also a voter registration event, so we welcome anyone in Clay County who's watching. We'd love to see you, again, at St. James AME Church.
I love that. So fantastic that, like you said, you're really taking 2 initiatives and making sure that you're out there in the community. Yeah. Have you gotten any pushback from people when it came to creating this or installing this?
It's really interesting. So I served as the volunteer chair, and my brain is kind of wired for risk management. So at the start of it, we thought through all of the potential scenarios and what happens if someone damages the library, if someone is raiding the library for all of its contents. Luckily, we had a plan in place for all of it. We have not seen a negative reaction to it. In fact, we've seen the opposite. The vast majority of people have wanted to roll up their sleeves, join us to help build the libraries, install the libraries, keep them stocked with books. We are continuously receiving books, and we're very grateful for that because we're allowing to continue to circulate books, again, across the entire state at this point. So the pushback, I think, is indicative of this is a deeply unpopular policy.
Agreed.
And no one's in favor of it. And they see even if there was a genuine concern about some content, it has gotten so overblown that people are now realizing that this was a drastic overreaction to a non-issue.
Right. Gotta love that government overreach. No, thank you. So what? I didn't say that. So love it.
We're being honest here. We're dropping truth
River
here.
City Plus. I'm not on air. So talking about how we can continue to support you as a community, how we can continue to be behind 90 Forward, the initiatives you're taking. You can see that you are taking them seriously, that you're taking them thoughtfully, and really considering everyone when you're doing this. So how can we continue to support you?
Right. Thank you so much. So first, the Little Free Diverse Libraries, as we are continuing to talk about through Banned Book Week, we are receiving and very interested in more books. Again, we have a network now of 50 plus libraries across the state. We are specifically looking for content about and by people of color. And this is because not only are those books generally not in circulation widely, those are also the ones that are then being banned. And so there's a shortage of access. If you have books in Spanish, Portuguese, or Haitian Creole, that is also a really high demand right now. And unfortunately, depending on what school district you're working with, they also don't have a lot of that content. So we are greatly appreciative of any bilingual content that we can receive. We do a monthly drive and you can visit our website or follow us on social media for books. We are at a point now where we're not installing any new libraries because, again, we've drastically surpassed our initial goal, but that is not off of the table with additional financial support. So the last thing I would say, treasure is an important asset of philanthropy. So if you are interested in sponsoring a library, they are $2,500 per library, and that ensures that there is not only the structure. We've partnered with local artists to design and paint them. Each library is honoring a person, a historical figure of color who's often overlooked. So, for example, we will be installing a library on Friday for Julian Bond. And then we will also be installing one for Wilma Mankiller. And if you do not know those names, I encourage you to find a book about either of them and learn a little bit about what they've contributed to make us an amazing country.
Fantastic. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
you
you
for everything you and 904 Forward are doing for our community to take those steps, to make sure that there's a voice, to make sure that there are pages open to all of our community, because frankly, that's what we're all about. Everyone deserves that chance and opportunity.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, guys. I will make sure that everyone has the links right after this on rivercitylivetv.com so that you can stay connected. Again, $2,500 and you can make a complete difference in a neighborhood. So just consider that. I always say you have one of three things: time, talent, treasure, and now you have a fourth, Tom. So you have no excuses.
Wow, I'm one of the T's.
Not
That's fantastic.
to make a difference. All right. So you have a change maker right here who can help you out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to River City Plus. We'll see you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.